says it's live.
Let me just see that it's working.
I deleted the second video. It's been 5 minutes.
Okay, there's a fairly decent picture.
Radhe Radhe, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's a better picture.
Radhe. So we were singing for Sri Nityananda Prabhu, so we will begin again. So, Boro Shukera Kabor Gai, page 164, or whatever Jiva Pavana Prabhu posts there, you can go to his latest post and you will find the bhajan there, in the comment section of the thread.
Gaura Bodhi Nitai Dem Sakala Sambha
Gauranga tumi more, doyalan shari ho.
Page 78. Gauranga tumi more. 78, or just search for Jiva Bhavana Prabhu in the latest post on the thread, and you will find his excellent seva there in posting the kirtans for everyone. And nectar, look carefully.
What page?
78.
Oh, it was on 178. सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि की जय। जय जय बल्लभ राजकुमार, पेज 345. Radha Naam Parama Sukhdaya. They can sing the chorus, right? Okay then, Radha Rani ki Jai, Maharani ki Jai. Page 362. I don't know if it's available. But it's pretty easy to follow. Radha Rani ki Jai, Maharani ki Jai, Radha Rani ki Jai, Radha Rani ki Jai, Maharani ki Jai. Srimati Radha Rani ki jai, Radha Vinu Bihari Ji ki jai. Krishna Krishna Hare महाराज महाराज की जय। हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय। हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय। गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि। So that's not working? Okay.
I can't get online.
Radhe Radhe, is anyone there?
The next door people are.
Hare Krishna? I can't tell if it's going or not.
Yeah, it says we're connected, but we're not.
No, but that. Don't connect to Kishori, okay?
Of course not. Yeah, there's no internet.
Can you stay here so you can see whether it's going or not? Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Ajnanatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Nityanamine Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. In the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishna Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Dupananga Gauri Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranam, dear Vaishnavas, Radhe Radhe. Here is okay, just don't mess with it.
Okay. I have to keep on top of it because it alerts me that 50% of it is...
But it's fine, it will be fine.
I'm just saying it alerts me that 50% is finished and then it cuts off at that point when it alerts me. So, okay. So today we will continue going beyond Vaikuntha, and in the process we will discuss so many other subjects as normally happens. This is a beautiful treasure, the heart of our Srila Gurudev, the heart of Srila Sanatan Goswamipada, the essence of all of the teachings of our Goswamis, which is the progression of the jiva and how the jiva makes its way back to its source, to its eternal beloved. In this case, Gopakumar's eternal beloved is Krishna in Vrindavan, and the relationship that they have is as cowherd boy friends. So, in this transcendental literature, we find the progression of Gopakumar to his perfection. Before entering into this beautiful transcendental treasure, we will pray in the dust of the lotus feet of our Gurudev, the commentator, and Sri Sanatan Goswamipada, the original compiler of Sri Brihad Bhagavatamrita, for their mercy in the words of Sri Raghunath Das Goswami. Vairaga Juga Bhakti Rasam Prayatnai Apayanan Mam Anubhikshamandam Kripam Vadirya Paradukaduki Sanatana Spam Prabhum Ashrayami. begging in the dust of their lotus feet, that may even a particle of their moods, which are present within these pages, manifest within our hearts. Sudevi, can you give me the iPad? I'll just keep it open in case the connection works.
Okay, but it doesn't.
Okay.
Like, it won't even go onto the page. We need a new internet provider.
It could just be that way around Vrindavan. Okay, it says we're connected to that one. Right. So, yesterday, Srila Gurudev was discussing that if it is not your nature, then you will not find satisfaction. You might find something you like, but if it's not within the flow of your own nature, you will find something which feels disruptive. And that's why he said that if Gopkumar were to go to Ayodhya and want to be where the cows are, because he's naturally a cowherd boy, so he would be where the cows are, he wouldn't find cows going out to pasture, but he might find that some Brahmins have cows in their homes because cows are an essential part of the yajnas, and they'd be doing so many fire yajnas. And there, as they're doing the fire yajnas, so much smoke would be coming up. He said, but this would be incompatible with the mood of this Gopkumar. So would he be happy? He would only be annoyed or disturbed by all of the smoke. Therefore, he would not like it there under any condition. This seems a little bit extreme, that if I'm meant to be a friend of Krishna in Vrindavan, then I won't like to be in Ayodhya or Dwarka or Vaikuntha or any other place. This is the meaning of a kantik or one-pointed bhakti. Our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaja spent so much energy trying to impress this idea upon us, that we need to have a fixed goal, one-pointed bhakti. That means exclusivity must be there. And there's no harm in having or observing exclusivity when we are focusing on our particular Ishtadev, our particular worshipful Lord. If we do not have exclusivity, this will be unfavorable for bhakti. In fact, our Srila Gurudev said way back, gosh, I don't know where that is, probably somewhere around page 60, and I can't remember exactly, but he was saying that one of the most detrimental things for bhakti is lack of exclusivity. One of the things which is the most unfavorable is to not have a particular fixed goal with one worshipful Lord. If you have one foot in the boat of Nrsimhadev, another foot in the boat of Ram, another foot in the boat of Krishna, another foot in the boat of Narayan, you won't be able to go anywhere. If we want to attain a particular destination, we must collect all of our attention and focus it. And then what we have will be called greed. Greed means one-pointed focus, deep absorption, complete exclusivity. This is a symptom of greed. Real greed means no matter what, I won't stop until I attain that thing. Like Mother Yashoda, when she was binding Krishna, she made a vow because she couldn't bind him. Again and again, she was tying rope to rope to rope to rope, and still she couldn't bind him. And at that point, she made a vow. I swear to Narayan that I will never give up. Even if I lose my life, I will never give up until I bind my son. So she had this focus, this one-pointed mood. And by that, she was able to melt the heart of Krishna, by which easily she was able to bind him simply with the ribbon from her hair. So this exclusivity is essential in bhakti. And if I start going exclusively toward Ram or Nrsimhadev, but that is not the intrinsic nature of my soul, then I will find dissatisfaction when I get there. That is why it is essential to be under the guidance of pure devotees who are tattvadarshis, who are knowers, seers, and experiencers, practically experiencing the truth, then they can awaken or at least give me some awareness of what particular goal I should strive to according to the nature of my soul. Without that, as Srila Prabhupada would say quite often, and it's written everywhere, we're like a ship without a rudder. Have you ever seen a ship? These big, big ships in the ocean, but they all have something called a rudder. And a rudder is what stabilizes it. Airplanes also have rudders. You know that tail? The tail fin that sticks up like this? Sharks, fish, they all have rudders. It keeps them going straight on their course. But without a rudder, you will go in all different directions according to the wind and the waves. And what will happen? You will end up on some coral reef, stuck or trapped somewhere, or somewhere far off from where you thought you were going. So without taking shelter of a spiritual master is like that focus, the guidance that we require. Without the spiritual master, it is like we are in a ship without a rudder. So Srimad Bhagavatam says, Nudehamadhyam sulabam sudurlabam plavam sukalpam guru karnadaram mayanukulyena nabhaspateritam puman bhavabhim nataretsa atmaha. So this human form of life is like a perfectly constructed boat. Sulabam sudurlabham. It is extremely rare and so valuable. Plavam sukalpam guru karnadaram. Who is the captain of that boat? Sri Guru is the captain of that boat. Those who have so much knowledge, who have attained so much transcendental information, who do not utilize their human form of life under the guidance of Sri Guru for attaining perfection. Mayanukulyena nabhaspateritam puman bhavabdim nataret sa atmaha. They are no better than those who are butchers or killers of their own soul. So it's quite a heavy thing. It's like suicide of the soul, supposedly. You can never kill your soul, but you can become entrapped in samsara for who knows how long. So this is a very special conception, Guru Karnadharam. In that bhajan we have Kejabi Bhai Bhava Sindupar. There it says Shri Guru Kandari. Guru is the captain. So by being under the direction of the expert captain, who is aware of all of the pitfalls and who knows about the goal, how to attain the goal, and who has gone that path many times. They have walked that path. Or in this case, sailed that path. By following the path or following in the guidance of that person who knows that path, who has experience, then we can be assured of attaining that goal. Mahajano yena gatha sapanta. That's why it said we should follow the path of the Mahajans, or great personalities, because they know it very well. Why? They're constantly bringing people, those who are eager to meet with Krishna. They come to collect us and bring us. Srila Prabhupada said it is the eternal function of the spiritual master to save the fallen conditioned souls. Eternal function. So they're constantly bringing people on this path. If we accept their path, if we try to go on our own without Guru, then we are like that ship without the rudder. So, Srila Gurudev was explaining that in the path of bhakti, if we do not have exclusivity, if we do not have one-pointedness, this is very unfavorable for bhakti. There must be conviction and focus on one particular form, and that particular form is awakened. I have to choose my words carefully. Not given, not manifested, but awakened from within, according to our own intrinsic nature, by someone who can see that internal nature. As a gardener can detect the nature of any seed, Sri Guru can detect the nature of my soul and then engage this soul first through the medium of external activities, sarvopari vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Using all of my senses in the service of Krishna, then they will become spiritualized. When I'm utilizing these senses, instead of in serving myself, utilizing and serving the transcendental senses of Krishna, then this will be awakening even from the external right to the internal. What is my nature of loving service to Krishna? And that person who is a real seer and knower of the truth, they can detect these things. Those who are still bound in this material world, they cannot see because they don't know. How can they know? They don't know who they are. They don't know what anyone else is. So they cannot give us proper guidance. We can encourage people. You should chant Hare Krishna and pray to Krishna for mercy. Then Krishna will manifest Guru to you. Guru will guide you. He is a Tattvadarshi. He will remove your doubts and he will send you on your path with guidance. We can give that much. But if we have not realized who we are in relation with Krishna, then how can we see or know the internal nature of anyone else? I can't even see myself. So therefore it is an essential thing to be under guidance of a real knower and seer of the truth. How do we know who that is? There are so many different qualifications which we have discussed in the past. But really the main qualification is exclusive surrender to Krishna. Not one moment utilized for anything else other than Krishna's service. Nothing for themselves. Nothing to take, but everything to give. And also they have so much compassion for us, the suffering souls of this world. I once asked Gurudev, according to Shastra, the souls don't really suffer. A soul, within it, does not have asat, achit, or nirananda. It is sat, chit, ananda. So what is experiencing the suffering? Because we hear in the verse that Maya captures us and then we experience suffering. So what is it that experiences suffering if the soul doesn't? Srila Gurudev explained, yes, you're right, the soul itself doesn't suffer. It only thinks it's suffering. And this is a kind of an illusion. And the example he gave is the same as the examples we receive in Shastra and from other gurus. I've read it from Srila Prabhupada also. If you're in your home and you hear a loud crash outside, somebody smashes into your car and your car is damaged, it doesn't really have anything to do with you, per se, except for your attachment to it. But it hasn't affected you. It hasn't damaged you physically, but still you think, I've been hit, somebody hit me, and you take it as personal. So this attachment and this connection to this thing, that maya or illusion that this is me or my thing, creates the illusion or the function of suffering on the soul, although the soul has no real connection with the material energy, as proven by the aphorism, asango yang purushaha. Asango, no association, yang purushaha, means that superior energy has no real connection with the inferior energy, only mayatare, being captured by maya, which means that which is not, or illusion, then deya samsara duk, we're experiencing so much suffering in samsara, in that connection. This morning I was meditating on this kind of subject, and there's one verse in Shastra that says, Shokamarshadi birbhavayar, that person who is always absorbed in all kinds of tribulations, lamentation, fear, suffering, anger, all kinds of these heavy, intense, deep emotions. How can Mukunda or Krishna ever reside peacefully in such a heart that is always disturbed by all of these external things? So if we come to that platform of understanding that actually this soul has no connection with the external environment, then it won't be so disturbing to us. Like Haridas Thakur, they were beating him, but he was absorbed, chanting, taking shelter of Sri Harinam Prabhu. So all of these things that are coming at us from every side, we cannot remove them. This is part of nature. It's part of being in samsara, being a conditioned soul. Whatever karma is coming to us, it will come. Let it come, they say. Let it come. Like Maharaja Ambarish, he was not afraid of that fiery demon. He was saying, let it come. Durvasa threw a dreadlock of his on the ground because he felt offended by Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish thought, I must deserve this. This is my karma. Radhe Radhe or Hare Krishna. Let it come. But yet he remained completely focused. Savai mana Krishna padaravindayor. His mind was always absorbed in meditating on the lotus feet of Krishna. So he wasn't afraid in any circumstance. So many problems will come. So many, one problem after another. And this will create all kinds of internal difficulties. Lust, anger, greed, madness, envy, pride. So many things will be coming up. Fear. All kinds of things will manifest due to attachments in this material world. Fear arises due to misidentification with the material body. So how can Mukunda ever reside in a heart which is full of all of this kind of strife and fear and lamentation and taking on all of these problems? Our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta, Narayan Goswami Maharaj has said on multiple occasions, in this world there is no problem. So many problems, yes, many problems are coming one after another, and you try to solve one and 10 more come in its place, but really there is no problem. There's only one problem. Where is God? That's the only problem. All other things, they're not really problems. This is the problem. And how to maintain focus with all of these other things coming at us from every direction. How can I maintain focus? How can I maintain exclusivity? How can I maintain conviction? How can I maintain nishtha? Everything I can see is a test. It's all a test to distract me. To distract me from the only real essential problem. This soul can never be satisfied by any material solution for any material problem. The soul is only meant to love and serve its eternal beloved. Jivera Swarupahoy Krishner Nityadas. The problems that we're experiencing in this world is due to losing that focus. Who am I? Why am I here? Why am I experiencing all of this suffering? What is my purpose? What is my function? What is my goal? These are the questions Sanatan Goswami asked to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are the basic, foundational, essential, existential questions that any sincere person on a spiritual path will not only ask, but will follow through with. Just need to make sure that, cancel. I don't know. I just canceled it. Huh?
I'm checking.
Yeah. It gave me the 50%.
No, it's going.
Okay, good.
Sorry, devotees. It's going.
So many problems. Internet problems.
But at the end, there's Darshan of Thakurji.
Yes. So all of these issues may come, but we should not lose focus of our purpose, of our goal. And really, when it comes down to it, we should not lose focus of what would be pleasing to our Gurudev. We can try to please so many. Come, get involved in this, get involved in that, get involved in it. But inside, we should ask this question: will this be pleasing and or beneficial to my Gurudev? Will he appreciate that this is the path I'm taking? Will this be beneficial and helpful for the development of my bhakti? Or will it be detrimental? Will it be distracting? Is this what my Gurudev would be proud of me meditating on at the time of death? whatever it is. Many, many, many years ago, Sudevi went with a family member on roller coaster. And this was after, just like a year or two after receiving initiation from Gurudev. Because it was a birthday party. So she went on the roller coaster and she was thinking, what would Gurudev think if I died on this roller coaster?
Even NASA makes mistakes.
She said even NASA makes mistakes, right? I remember when the Challenger exploded. This, I know it was a long time ago, but I was here in Vrindavan when that happened. So it was big news all over the world. But even the most refined scientific experiments with most precision, they also go wrong. So what to speak of these other things? So she was thinking, she told me just yesterday, day before, like, what would Gurudev think if I lost my life doing this?
Something so stupid.
Something so foolish. I'm just having fun doing this. But at that time, you're just screaming, you're feeling fear, your body is flooding with all kinds of stress hormones and dopamines and this and that from all, going upside down and going up and down like that. What would my Gurudev think if I lost my life doing this? My rare, valuable human form of life. What was I thinking about? What will I become? Did I just lose my most valuable opportunity by doing something so foolish? These kinds of questions should be asked by sincere aspirants of the spiritual path. Will this be pleasing to my Gurudev? Will it be beneficial for my spiritual progress? Or am I just wasting my life and my time? Today, Sudevi, she fell asleep after lunch. She took a nap for like half an hour. And she woke up. She's like, oh my God, my life is wasting away. I have to do something. I'm like, you're tired. Take a nap. She's like, no. I can't. My life is finishing in front of me. And I'm like, okay, so sew for Thakurji. She's like, okay. So she grabbed the things to sew for Thakurji. This is really something that we should have, this kind of mood. I shouldn't waste my time in idle things or things which distract me from the path of love and devotion. Why am I speaking about this? Because Gurudev was talking about exclusivity even to one particular deity, one particular form of the Lord. What to speak of all of the other stuff that is distracting, which is even not directly related to Krishna. How much is that unfavorable? If even another form of Bhagavan is unfavorable, really it is ultimately. Raghunath Das Goswami even said, even this attraction or idea of attachment to the lotus feet of Narayan, the Pati, the husband of Lakshmi, even this I don't want. He wants exclusivity to the lotus feet of Rishabhananandini Srimati Radhika and her dear most beloved. This kind of exclusivity, one-pointed. For those who are eternally devotees of Narayan and Vaikuntha, for them that is perfection. But for someone who's intrinsically, eternally a devotee of Radha and Krishna and Vrindavan, to veer off to that side is actually unfavorable to the development of their one-pointed bhakti, and it can stall their progress for what will be like an eternity. And we've seen that in the progress of Gopakumar. So this exclusivity is so essential. And if we want to learn about exclusivity and to actually follow the path of exclusivity by which we will attain our goal in the most clear, fast, rapid, and magnificent way, then we must hold on tightly to the lotus feet of a guru who has that same essential, intrinsic mood and service to that same particular Ishtadev that our soul needs to serve. Needs to. I'm using the word needs to because nothing else will satisfy it. Only that. So how refined, really, does it come to when you hear about Rupa Anuga Bhakti? It is so fine, so refined, and so exclusive. In the beginning, you can be like, woo, floating in the land or the realm of the idea of the absoluteness of God. But at one point it needs to become more and more refined. And the fact that we have all come to Gurudevs in the line of Rupa Goswami, coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, tasting Radha's bhav. We have come to Vrindavan and knowledge of the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan and how he becomes subservient to his devotees, especially Srimati Radhika. This is symptomatic or a sign of rapid refinement of our process. Exclusivity, one-pointedness. Everywhere in Shastra, even in Bhagavad Gita, you hear again and again, Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. Ananya means without any other, exclusive. Bhaktya-tvananyaya sakya. Without any other, exclusive, one-pointed. Sarvadharmam parityaja mam ekam. Unto me alone. Like this, again and again and again. This ekantik, one-pointed ananya bhakti is necessary. And so to develop that, to awaken that greed of exclusivity, it is essential to come under the guidance, under the loving care, under the shelter of someone who has that kind of one-pointed focus. And that is Sri Guru. So I can't see if anyone is making any comments or anything, and please forgive me for that because I'm... it looks like it's working again. Let's see. I'm getting some kind of messages. No, I can see it. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, the internet came back on. Dandavats. Okay.
That's
Jai.
fine. It's fine.
Right. So, Narada silently understood all of the inner feelings of Gopakumar's heart. We should understand that Sri Guru is a manifestation of Chaitya Guru in the heart. And Chaitya Guru, otherwise known as Paramatma, but Chaitya Guru has been riding along with us, the Jiva, since time without beginning, never leaving our side. So he has witnessed everything. He has witnessed every activity. He has witnessed every feeling, every thought, every mood, everything, and has awareness of all of it for all time. We might forget, but he doesn't forget. And he also knows what our intrinsic, eternal, inherent nature is. So if we become sincere, Tesham satate yuktanam, bhajatam pritipurvakam, dadami buddhiyogam tam yenamam upayantite. If someone becomes sincere and begins to worship the Lord in a one-pointed mood, bhajatam, priti, purvakam, with love and affection, then he says, dadami buddhiyogam tam. Dadami means I give, buddhiyogam tam, the knowledge of how to connect in such a way that they can attain me. Yenamam upayantite. He gives that knowledge. I give the understanding by which they can come to me. So if we have faith in the process, if we accept the process, what Krishna has said, what Guru has given us, then we have hope for rapid attainment of our goal. Without that, one, we won't even have a goal, so we won't have hope of rapid attainment of anything particularly. There needs to be a goal. It needs to be exclusive. We need to get on that boat, and we need the expert. We are the boat, but anyhow, we need the expert captain who can guide us across this Bhavasagar, the ocean of material existence. That captain is Sri Guru. They understand what is going on inside of our hearts, so we can have very strong conviction that they know what is good for us, what is not good for us, and they can adjust us accordingly when we start to veer off course. We must be under guidance at every moment. Now, Srila Gurudev is continuing on chapter 10 with the gradations of service. The gradations in service. Because this word service has come up, I just want to address it very quickly. Kishori Mohan style means like 10 minutes. Many of us grew up in our spiritual lives within the society of Vaishnavas, hearing about devotional service. And somehow it was artificially pushed that anything that you're doing is devotional service. Wash the pots, it's devotional service. Clean the floor, it's devotional service. But if somebody is doing it begrudgingly, then where is the devotion? If it is something that is forced from outside, then where is the devotion? Then it cannot be considered devotional service. Devotional service actually has a Sanskrit name, and that is called bhakti. And then there's pure bhakti, which has, there's this term unalloyed devotional service, which is translated as pure bhakti or uttama bhakti, or shuddha bhakti. So when it comes to this idea of devotional service, then for aspirants in the path of devotion, in the path of love, it's necessary to somehow find that thing within us that will make that activity devotional. It's different than begrudging service. It's not even considered service at that time. If you're angry at someone and you're cooking for them, I know, if Sudevi and I are having an argument and she's cooking, I'll ask her very clearly, were you feeling really angry at me when you were cooking? Because I don't know if I want to take it. And vice versa, but there's consciousness transference through so many mediums. So is it with devotion? Is it with affection? Why would Krishna take it if you're doing it with something which is against affection? Why would Sri Guru and the Vaishnavas accept that? It's not service. I remember Srila Bhaktivedanta Bharati Maharaj speaking about that. There was one cow in a Goshala who was really, really angry because of something. I can't remember the detail, but they wouldn't milk her until, I think she was being abused in some way or another. And he said we wouldn't milk her until she was happy to give it, until she felt affection. Then we would milk her and offer that to Krishna. In the same way, what is offerable to Krishna? You can give so many things, but if there's no love and affection, no interest. He would rather have banana peels with love and affection than millions of perfectly prepared preparations with no love and affection. So this is proof in itself that Krishna doesn't eat food. Krishna doesn't accept things. Krishna eats and accepts love and affection. So how to awaken that? When one develops faith in the lotus feet of Sri Guru, that Guru knows what I need to be able to awaken my love and affection for Krishna. Therefore, I will willingly accept the discipline of Guru, accepting that it is good for me. Like someone who checks themselves into drug rehab. They're completely mentally, emotionally, and physically devastated because of the addiction. So they place themselves willingly, voluntarily, in a position where discipline is inflicted upon them for their benefit, and they accept it. That is a disciple. Srila Guru Govinda Maharaj said, a disciple is one who voluntarily accepts the position where Guru will inflict severe discipline upon them for their benefit. This is what we do. So if we accept that willingly, even though we might not initially like it, but we accept in the heart that this is good for me, then when we're doing any activity, then that can be considered at least the beginning of devotional service. If I don't even know why initially, I'm doing it to please my Gurudev. And from that, Bhakti Sukriti will manifest more and more, spiritual merit, by which the actual desire, Krishna Seva Vasanam, the desire to serve Krishna will awaken in the heart. So, sometimes it happens that a sadhaka cannot understand his own heart. I would say, very often. Just as a patient cannot identify his own disease, a sadhaka, due to his own weakness and shortcomings, cannot understand the nature of his own devotional sentiment. That means us, due to our own weakness and shortcomings, cannot understand the natural devotional sentiment of our souls due to our bondage in this material world. But a qualified doctor, by taking the pulse and seeing, excuse me, I'm hiccuping, it's not ecstatic symptoms. A qualified doctor, by taking the pulse and seeing other symptoms, can understand those things which the patient himself cannot know. He will find the root cause of the disease. Where there is a fever, the doctor will not give any medicine for the fever itself, but instead he will give medicine for the cause of the fever. Well, we don't find that these days. Most of the medicine these days treat symptoms, but traditionally, real doctors would actually treat the cause of the symptoms, and then it would be eradicated. So Gurudev is saying the doctor will not give any medicine for the fever itself, but instead he will give the medicine for the cause of the fever. An ordinary man cannot act as such a doctor. Only someone with experience is the right person. That means if you haven't had any training, you don't know left from right, up from down, wrong from this, you don't understand medicines, you don't know what's going on, how can you properly detect what's going on in the pulse? How can you prescribe? Speaking of which, back in the day, I don't know if you remember, but during Kartik, many people would catch colds, and there's so many communal infections would take place just because so many people were in such close quarters together. Coughing and mucus and this virus and that thing and everything else. And they had a big, big basket full of all kinds of medicine, like antibiotics and Tylenol and paracetamol and this and that. It was just full.
Codeine.
Everything was there. And there was one of our sannyasi preachers who was sitting there behind the basket, and devotees would come up and say, I have this. He would say, come here, I will give you medicine. And they would be like, I have this sickness. And he would say, oh, take that. I have this sickness, take that. And we're like, but you're not a doctor. He's like, I'm a doctor. And we're like, no, you're not a doctor. You don't know what you're giving. And actually he gave one time something to someone, and they became very, very, very sick as a result. I think they almost died. But the point is, that's not the qualification. Sitting there with a big basket full of random medicines and just handing them out like candies, this is not the qualification of a real doctor. And so I'm giving it as a practical example that if you don't know what you're doing, you can actually do something which is detrimental, extremely detrimental, not only to them, but to yourself and everyone else. So in this case, Gurudev is saying, it cannot be any ordinary person who acts in such a role. Only someone with experience is the right person. And the same goes for Guru. I think he's coming to that point. That just because Sri Guru has disappeared from this world, it doesn't automatically make everyone Sri Guru. And even if some training is there, it still does not make them the doctor. Right? My father was a printer previously. And I would see sometimes, but just because he left this world doesn't now make me a qualified printer. It's just not the way it works. It doesn't make one a qualified surgeon just because their father was a surgeon. Even though they might have heard or learned something about it, still there's a necessary process of accreditation by which one gains acceptance and can be considered that. You can't just say, well, that my father did it, so that's where I am. Our Guru Varga have also utilized this in terms of hereditary caste Brahmanism and things like that. Well, my father's a Brahmin, so that makes me a Brahmin. No. Or, whatever. It's just, it doesn't make sense. Qualification is necessary. Experience is necessary. And proper certification is necessary. Only someone with experience is the right person. Similarly, in our bhajan means our practices of bhakti, we may be unhappy. Such misfortune may come to us. Those whose very life is bhajan can reveal to us what our weaknesses and anarthas and from... Sorry, let me reread that sentence. I did go to college. Those whose very life is bhajan can reveal to us what are our weaknesses and anarthas and from where they have arisen. Did that make sense? They can reveal these things. What are our weaknesses and anarthas and how they have manifested, because they have already walked that path. They already have experience. They know that truth. Therefore, they can also assess what is our condition. They will be eliminating those problems at the root. So they're not just going to address the symptom. They're going to address the root cause of those problems. They will say, you must hear Harikatha, and before hearing Harikatha, you must serve the spiritual master with great faith. And if we respond, but in trying to serve, my mind is very restless, how will I control it? They will say, be confident. By Guru's grace, you will control it. A clever, intelligent Guru understands the feelings in the heart of a disciple, which even the disciple himself doesn't understand. So this we were just mentioning before. I might be able to see what happened in this one life, and even then so many confusions will come. People will cheat, they will manipulate, and you won't understand what happened or how it happened, and you will be completely bamboozled by just in one life. What to speak of 10 or 20 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 lives. But Sri Guru can see everything and know, well, what you're experiencing now, this is the result of that and that and that and that. And you have been doing this for thousands of lifetimes. You have been experiencing the reactions to actions, and then you've been reacting, and now it's coming back to you. So you've been doing this cyclically for millions of lives. And I can see the first one, I can see between, and I can see it now. And it's time to stop. Stop trying to get revenge. For example, they can see everything. So the clever, intelligent Guru understands the feelings in the heart of a disciple, which even the disciple himself doesn't understand. And even in spirituality, we can become very confused, even if we put down the material things, but still, even on the spiritual side, trying to go in this direction, that direction, this direction, and still we won't be focused. They can understand what our difficulty is, and then help to focus us and refine us. You're going in the wrong direction. I admire your conviction, I admire your one-pointedness, but that's really not your goal. You won't be satisfied there. If you try to go in that direction, you will just be disappointed. So don't do it. They can see that. Gop Kumar wants to ask, why is it that my heart is not satisfied here? Even though I know that there is no greater place. But due to shyness, he cannot ask. So there he's saying, I know there's no greater place, but why is my heart not satisfied? Also Vyasadeva, he was sitting there feeling some kind of dejection. What's going on? I've just compiled the Vedas and I've presented everything. I've even, split them into 4. I've divided them into Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva. I've given everything about Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha, and still Something's not right. And Narada Muni came, diagnosed what was going on in his heart, and then told him, this is why you are not satisfied. If you do this, this, and this, meaning meditate on the pastimes of Krishna in relationship with his devotees, and you should see them in divine trance, then you should manifest to the world a divine transcendental literature based on this Samadhi Darshan. This is known as Srimad Bhagavatam. Then you will feel satisfied in your heart. So he detected what was wrong, what the disciple might not have been able to detect on his own. He gave him the remedy, addressing the root cause of his problem. He gave him the solution, and he gave him the process by which that solution could manifest. So here, why is it that my heart is not satisfied here in Vaikuntha, even though I know that there is no greater place? Gopkumar was thinking it, he was feeling it, but he couldn't voice it due to shyness. But Narada Muni could see everything, and then he directed him accordingly. Narad, the crown jewel of spiritual doctors, recognized the symptoms. I like that, the crown jewel of spiritual doctors. He identified the disease, and without even inquiring anything from Gopkumar, will give the answer. He will give different levels of answers, understanding that what Gopkumar is saying may be irrelevant to the actual root cause of the disease itself. So we may have experienced something like this. Quite often people go to the doctor. Doctor, I have this symptom, I have this symptom. And the doctor will be feeling your pulse, looking in your eyes, checking your tongue, maybe doing a blood test or anything else like that. And the doctor can see everything. And we'll say, well, you know, doctor, I think it's this. But it could be that, because I've seen similar symptoms in something else. And the doctor's looking and watching. Oh, no, it's not that. The quack doctors will say something else. When Sudevi had measles, I think there was a case of the measles, which became a little mini pandemic during Kartik one year. And there was it was extremely contagious. So many contracted it. And they gave a strong order, stay away from Gurudev. Don't go near Gurudev at this time. Because measles, especially in people over 30, can be quite deadly. So there was a strong order in that direction. And so many people contracted this disease. So we went to the doctor to get a blood test for medicine. And they gave the blood test. They looked at it. And for some reason in India, they just look at the white blood cells. And the white blood cells say, oh, you have some kind of virus. So every single time we've had a blood test, it didn't matter what disease we had, they would always say, typhoid, malaria. Typhoid, malaria. Which one? Both. Typhoid, malaria. Then we went to the Ayurvedic doctor. And the Ayurvedic doctor is feeling her pulse and looking. And Sudevi, we're like, the doctor who did the blood test said it's typhoid, malaria. And he just looked at her. She had the red spots all over. And he's like, it's measles. We're like, but the other doctor said that it's... And he looked at it and he said, it's measles. He was feeling the pulse. He was looking at all the symptoms. And then he gave medicine accordingly. So there are many quack doctors as well, posing as real things. And then there's someone who can easily diagnose. And if we don't know better, we cannot diagnose ourselves either. And we can also do things which are detrimental for our own progress. Therefore, we must be under the guidance of an expert doctor. He will give the answer, different levels of understanding, different levels of answers, and even understand what is relevant and irrelevant. Even will understand our mental relevance and irrelevance to the actual root cause of our condition. So he will tell him some things that are valuable for sadhan and some things for siddha. Sadhan means the practice for attaining perfection, and siddha means some things that are valuable for the understanding of perfection itself. How you will be, what you will do, some things for here and now, and some things for that level, the level of perfection. If we don't give the instructions that we hear from an experienced soul a place in our hearts and don't follow them, then not only in 1 or 2 births, but in countless millions of births, we will not attain Hari Bhakti. Let me just read that sentence again. If we don't give the instructions that we hear from an experienced soul, that means Sri Guru, one who is a knower and experiencer of the truth, if we don't give those instructions a place in our hearts and don't follow them, then not only in 1 or 2 births, but in countless millions of births, we will not attain Hari Bhakti. So this is quite essential to take shelter of, to follow the prescription of that person who is a knower, seer, and experiencer of the truth. To be under their guidance, then very quickly and easily, the root cause of our disease will be eradicated and we can attain perfection. But if we don't follow the principle, if we don't follow that scientific process, if we don't follow those instructions, then what will we attain? Not only 1 or 2 births, but millions of births could be wasted because of not following the instructions and the process the Sri Guru gives. Understanding the inner feelings of Gopkumar and knowing the reason for his unhappiness, Narad is telling us how we should engage in bhajan. Therefore, we must first prepare our minds to accept his line of thought. Now here Gurudev is also referencing, we should prepare our minds and our hearts to accept the line of thought of our Gurudev. Srila Gurudev warned us that if we do not do this and if we deviate from that, we are bound to become sahajya. Sahajya means pretenders, pretense in the name of bhakti, and to do everything which looks like bhakti but whimsically, and the result will be not bhakti. If we do not follow the line of thought, the conceptions, the moods, the teachings of our transcendental, experienced Gurudev. The defects that Narad will point out to Gopakumar are actually within us. And when we make a sincere effort to eliminate these defects, then we will really be engaging in bhajan. You can take it that real bhajan will be coming soon. So this is quite interesting. Anartha Nivritti is part of the process. Ado Shraddha, first faith. Tata Sadhu Sangha. Now, Gurudev has explained that there's a first preliminary Sadhu Sangha which we might not even realize. And due to that Sadhu Sangha, some sort of agyata sukriti manifests, means unknown spiritual merit, by which Shraddha manifests, some faith. And then Tata Sadhu Sangha, thereafter Sadhu Sangha, much more refined kind of association with sadhus. So maybe the first kind of Sadhu Sangha we don't even realize. We're walking down the road, they're walking down the road, we look or they glance at us for one moment. Or maybe we're just an insect and perhaps one particle of their foot dust comes on our head or one grain of their prasadam or anything like that. And this begins our process. So from this initial Sadhu Sangha, then faith starts to manifest, Shraddha. Tata Sadhu Sangha, then we accept that Sadhu Sangha which will be beneficial for our progress on the path of bhakti. So after that, Ado Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangha, then Bhajana Kriya. Then we accept those practices on the path of bhakti which are favorable for the attainment of our particular goal. Tato Anartha Nivritti. As we are engaging in those positive activities on the path of bhakti, simultaneously we're eliminating those things which are unfavorable for bhakti. So as prema bhakti jaha hoite, as prema bhakti is manifesting in the heart due to the mercy of Gurudev and following the practices of bhajan as Gurudev has directed, then also we will be rooting out the avidya or the ignorance, avidya vinasha jate. So anartha nivritti is part of our process. Our Srila Gurudev explained that the most dangerous phase or time in our spiritual life is the time before we have attained ruchi or taste, but we're giving up so many material things. It's kind of the no man's land in spirituality. It's like, I'm giving up everything, but I haven't actually really tasted the real thing, and I'm in between. So that's a very, very dangerous time. There's a whole lecture about it that our Gurudev has given. So it is essential that one endeavors to actually come to that point of tasting, because from that higher taste, then automatically these lower things can be given up. If we're just giving up the lower things but not experiencing the higher thing because we're not following the process properly, then we can be in a situation that we have witnessed hundreds, if not thousands of times. So many devotees gave up so much, but they didn't really experience, not really, maybe utsahamayi, but not, means false enthusiasm, but not actual ruchi. So they gave up illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, meat eating, all kinds of enjoyment. And years later, they're like, freaking out. What happened? What happened? And then they end up leaving their situation because they haven't caught on to that transcendental thing, that ruchi. And then they end up going back into the material world to experience all of those things that they had given up previously, because it wasn't solid, higher taste. It was some kind of taste, some kind of enthusiasm, experience, or excitement, but not the real transcendental ruchi that we talk about. So it becomes a case of, you can call it false renunciation. With that false renunciation, it's quite a dangerous time. That's why it is essential when we're in that weakened state, and I'm saying we, meaning myself and maybe most of us, that we maintain the association of that person who is actually truly tasting. Because of their experience, because they're really tasting, there is a possibility that they might give us one remnant of that. That is where greed comes from. That drive, that greed, that what you're experiencing, just one drop of that, please. Even if I have no qualification, like that really, really sick, mangy dog that's in Loy Bazaar in the back over there. Oh, poor thing. I just looked at him and I'm thinking, oh man, poor thing. Everyone's looking at him and he can barely stand and he just looks like that. And he's almost too weak to even beg, but you can see his eyes. And he's just saying, please, please, just one drop. And the man, he gets his bowl and he's eating his rasmalai and he just looks at the dog and says, here, let me give him a couple extra biscuits here, you can have that. And the dog is able to take that. That greed manifests in his heart when he's seeing that someone is tasting that nectar. I also want to have some of that. Is there any qualification for that? Our Gurudev said, no. What is the qualification for greed? We don't need a qualification for greed. The qualification for greed comes about by witnessing or seeing someone tasting that thing. A poor person doesn't need qualification to desire money.
Gurudev used to say a beggar in the street, a drunkard, can still have greed to marry Princess Diana.
Did you hear that? He said, even if you're ugly, you have no teeth, you're stinky and dirty and this and that, and zero qualifications, still you can have desire. A drunkard in the street can still have desire in his heart and agreed to marry Princess Diana. So, what time is it? Ooh, it's late. She said it's pastime. Which pastime? Let me just finish this paragraph here. I did finish the paragraph. So I just want to reiterate here. Therefore, we must prepare our minds to accept the line of thought of our Gurudev, and we should accept it as it is without unnecessary opposition. These are the words of Srila Prabhupada. Without twisting, without all kinds of mundane deliberations, without all kinds of argument and fighting. Questions should be there, but those questions should be in a mood of humility, also with a mood of acceptance, necessity for reconciliation if any questions or doubts come. This is part of our progress, but still, it must be that we should follow the instructions that we hear, place those instructions in our heart and follow them. Otherwise, what hope will we have? So by taking shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Guru, then we can be assured of attainment of pure bhakti. Srila Gurudev would always tell us, don't be hopeless. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Rupanava Guru Varga ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. So make sure you stay for darshan. Thakurji has, how do you say, adjusted their shringa? Let me see. Uh-oh. Sorry, we've been having difficulties with the internet, so I didn't see questions.
You can touch them tomorrow.
So I will read these questions and then touch upon them tomorrow. I don't even know if it's still going. Is it still going?
It's going.
Okay.
Chalo before it stops.
Chalo, chalo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Shimtai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol Sudevi Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Parvati Guruvara Ki Jai Pratipavana Nityananda Guru Ki Jai Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaura Hari Ki Jai Radha Vinod Hari Ki Jai Radha Rani Ki Jai Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Om Govinda Damodara Madhavete Govinda Damodara Madhavete Govinda Damodara Madhavete Govinda Damodara Madhavete Bolo Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe Bolo Radhe 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 Jai 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 Shri Radhe Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal Ki Jai 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 Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. So thank you all very much for being with us, for bearing with us and our internet, and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, and for engaging us in our Guru Seva, for which we are completely indebted. We look forward to being with you tomorrow. Tomorrow we will observe Ekadashi. We look forward to being with all of you. Dandava Pranam, Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radha Vinu Bihari Ju Ki Jai, Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai.